Washing my father's feet. 9 days before you died, I put your feet inside a puke-pink bowl, soaked your skin in suds, and set to work. The mask over my face concealed lips, my nose, the gag of my tongue against your smell as I peeled your flesh back in layers, from scaled, heavy black, to barely gray, to flecked, to newborn pink. It took to wash your feet, and you never looked at me, merely swung your bare bones forward on a hinge, trying to get closer to the water. I could have been smiling below the mask. The year I was born, my grandfather died, and we planted an oak to mark his ending. You can read his absence in a ring, the thickness of time mirrored in a lightning, and then a tremor of darkness against wood. I am as old as his tree, and sometimes I lie at his base, shrouded beneath the spread of a life. Your toenails splitting backwards in layered onion skin. When was the last time you had shoes? There is rust-red vomit in your beard, and the bone of your chest protrudes like the hook you hang a body on to drain it of all its blood. I have never had a tender touch, and I was no different with your feet between my fingers. Strip you back in layers, and perhaps we can lose track of time, unspool skin, and then, as if by accident, release history. Tell me how I can ever forgive myself for letting your feet hit pavement unclothed. Tell me how this is a wound I can bury with anything other than salt. Spring wood, when cells form fastest. Early wood is housed in darker, denser summer flesh. If I am hewn, who could read the cross-sections of this body, of this bulk? I've heard the body knows grief before the mind does, and the nurse left me to tend my father's feet. A therapist told me today it is not my fault. I laughed. When did life become a movie? But she said it again, and panic burst yellow within. I've always believed that childhood means to be out of time. There is no destiny, no future. There is only the looping moment. I told the children I watched that their parents would be home in 20 minutes. All they had to do was close their eyes. 20 minutes meant nothing except the value words lent them. Hours equals time so long it is unbearable. But 20 minutes is just short enough that they were not afraid of sleep. For children, it is possible to bend time with language. The world looks forward with a word and stands still with the force of an outstretched palm. There is nothing to plan for. People keep telling me to be kind to myself. I know it is not my fault, any more than a tree generates cells out of anything but a compulsion carried within the very context of its existence. And yet, tell me how I will not carry your green-stained legs as a bookmark of this season. How can I wash your wintered feet purple at the knuckles and not feel shame? It is not my fault, and yet it is as much my life as it is my own body. My sister and I would lie below our grandfather's tree and compare wingspans. Touching elbows, trees of the same region tend to develop the same patterns depending on periods of chronological study. I imagine us ridged and whorled, each bearing our own outward flesh, but stripped clean, a matching ringed core. Unclothed, you can find within us our winter childhood, the dance of termites spinning tender holes within, some beauty you can trace. They say when you are present for someone's death, their flesh on yours, their cold blood against your human fever, your cellular nature transforms. That night I stared into your face, and I know there is a part of me that has never left the room. I lost control of the moment. There is nothing about my life now, thicker, denser, nothing but a disc ringing outward. And I think, perhaps finally, you've made a child of me.